Geekly. This week we're talking about American Symphony. I'm going to talk about Indiana Jones. I just saw it. And World War II from the front lines. Now the front lines of your heart, manned by our host, Mike and Deglio.
What is up, team? Welcome to K&M Geekly. Just a sneak peek at two geeks talking about some of the things got them through their week, getting them through this week amongst packing and preparing for the holiday season, Keith. First thing I have to do on my list is welcome CEO Jen home in a matter of an hour. And then...
you better start cleaning, buddy.
I did it this morning. And then do the Corn Man, my brother's seminal movie he's supposed to do that I do for him. It was supposed to be a Halloween thing, but he didn't do it. So now it's a Christmas thing, and it's not like I have anything else going on, so I'll be...
No.
Anyway, how are you doing? How are your preparations? We started talking a little bit beforehand, but you're also in a frenzy.
Yeah, I know. Well, look, the week before Christmas, if you celebrate and there's traveling and stuff, it is always chaotic. I've made a list and I'm checking it twice, and it's just stressing me out. But it's fine. I had to take Charlie to the vet this morning just to get his annual shots. It went fine. He doesn't like it, but of course he's a long-haired cat. Hasn't had catastrophic poop ass in like 6 months because I gave him a trim. Yeah. But, without even knowing he was going to the vet, catastrophic, epic.
Do you do preemptive hindquarter shavings on him?
Well, yes. Although
I'm thinking I might have to.
I'm due for one.
So
and that's
I didn't know because my cats are all short hair. Even Tuxie is short hair, but he has an issue with the cake-ons, if you will. So I'm wondering if I have to begin to manscape my cat. I didn't know that was a thing. One cat, I have to manually adjust the rectum at times. And now I guess I'm going to have to do a manscaping. Ironically, my one bad cat is the only good one, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is the thing.
So I'm paying the price. And of course, he hasn't had like colossal poop ass in like 6 months. But the morning, 10 minutes before I have to take him to the vet. That's what's going to happen. So,
I don't want to
he did great.
I don't want to get too up in people's business right now, but patron on the channel, in fact, let me pop on over. Patron of the channel, Nikolay Ivanovich Lobachevsky, going in for some medical procedure. So we wanted to, from the channel, from my heart, from my family, wanted to send out Nikolay a shout out. Good, have a good procedure, recover well. So that you can get back and enjoy what remains of your holiday. So just wanted to send that.
Indeed, and that's a clever code for my dad.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I'll be heading up on Friday to go through all of that fun and excitement.
All right, Keith.
What are we talking about today, Mike?
Well, we're going to be a little bit off Geekly for the next couple weeks to celebrate our holiday, but we wanted to give you some stuff maybe to check out over your break. It is funny, Keith, you mentioned if you celebrate. Whether you celebrate or not, Christmas is an inconvenience for you.
Yeah. Oh, no question.
Regardless of your participation, it's in your way at some point.
It is going to make a problem of itself.
Yeah. So I might beam in with CEO Jen from the ship because what I've found on these cruise ships, Keith, I'm going out to do a cruise. I know I talk about sort of the cheesy, hammy nature of the production itself. However,
you are performing on a cruise.
Yes,
you are not just going on a cruise. You are a headline performer on a cruise.
The ships, the mega ships that I go on perform on, their production is insane. You think the control rooms, the lights, what they're able to do, and like I said, you have 45 minutes as a guest entertainer to kind of put your crap up, and they run projections, full quality superstar, pop star lighting, sound, in-ear mixes, monitor mixes, house mixes. This all takes place in 45 minutes, so the majority of it's happening on the fly. It's an insane thing that takes place. So if I can capture some video, I'd love to kind of share it on Geekly. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a great Geekly topic.
Yeah, sounds great. We'll see. But anyway, we wanted to drop some things in your feed before you go because I have all stuff I really loved this week. So let's jump right in. I'll start, Keith. Topic 1, I checked out a Netflix documentary. Well, it wasn't, I don't know if it was produced by Netflix. It looks like it was. It's available on Netflix now, but it's making the festival circuit rounds as well. In fact, it has a bunch of wins already under its belt. Audience Award for the documentary feature at the Philadelphia Film Festival, Best Documentary Feature at the Woodstock Film Festival, Best Documentary at the Virginia Film Festival, and the lists go on and on and on and on. So it is cleaning them up. A little background. I was living with Keith at the time, and I went off on tour with a little show called MAME, which is Jerry Herman musical. We went through New Orleans, and just randomly on the street, there was a huge crowd of people watching this dude and a group of street musicians perform, what I thought were just street musicians. And it was my first exposure to this guy, John Batiste. What he was doing with a Melodia.
Way back then?
Yes.
Wow.
With a Melodia and just like some horns and just some like, it was absolutely insane. There's something about, I don't want to get too on my horse here. There's a difference between listening to amazing artists, like incredible performers, incredible musicians, and you tend to also know the difference when you're around like a genius, something that's just like extraordinary. So that was that experience. Years later, I was a big fan of Colbert, and he was moving from his Comedy Central show to CBS, and he was announced as band leader. And here's John Batiste again, and Stay Human. Outside of that, I didn't know those two experiences. I didn't know much about him as a solo musician. Wasn't the greatest on-camera performer when Colbert started, but they developed a rapport. I loved the house band. I loved their music, his energy, his infection. It was all there. The sketches they would do, different stuff. And then, in the last couple of years, he put out an album of original music. A few, actually, but this one is highlighted. And just, you realized, oh yeah, the world just was waiting to give this guy his due, right? He's just amongst he's just a classically trained jazz musician, just a genius. So anyway, cut to, I see he has a documentary on Netflix. Ostensibly, what this film chronicles is a dude who was basically unknown, thrust into sort of national spotlight on this television show. His music wasn't really known, but he's always making music. And then finally, when he does a solo album, it gets all this recognition, and he went from kind of nobody to nominated for 12 Grammys. So that sort of brain screw and trying to like deal with that and then have a full-time job, because shocker, doing a nightly talk show is very difficult, Heath. You're busy a lot.
What?
So try to promote your album and also like be on the Grammy stage. And then what it turns out is that his wife, so he had a buddy anyway, who was a filmmaker, who started kind of following him around and capturing his life amongst this crazy period of time. Around this time, we also find out that his wife, and let me, oh man, I have to look it up because I can't remember. Oh yeah, Suleika Juhad, diagnosed with leukemia.
Oh, shit.
She had beat leukemia, she was in remission, and then it came back. And so she has to have bone marrow transplant and go through the whole thing again at the exact time when these other two things are conflating. If that weren't enough, Keith, he was also commissioned at this point to present one night only an original symphony that he's calling the American Symphony at none other than Carnegie Hall. So all of these things are taking place at the same time. And there's this one.
Funny how often that happens.
And there's this one. I mean, how many times have we been nominated for 12 Grammys and had to?
I mean, all at once. Yeah.
And it just so happens that it's being filmed, and so I want to just like get it out of the way and say this is an extraordinary work. You have to watch it. If you're one of the probably everyone who has Netflix, there's just no question. Put this at the top of your queue. Watch this next. This is the thing. It's like just under 2 hours. If I had to give it a nit, and it's not really a nit, right? So is that we're so conditioned nowadays that like everything's, a lot of documentaries, a lot of movies are so heavy-handed. They're like, this is what this movie's about, this one thing, and it tracks. This movie doesn't track. It's about all of these things. It's about what he's going through as a musician. It's about what he's going through as a human. It's about what his family is going through. It's about what she's going through. It's about creating art. It's about having your art recognized. It's then about winning 12 Grammys and having to deal with, does any of that mean anything? It's just, it's chaos. And this movie doesn't tell you anything. It just presents it. And I really commend Netflix and the filmmaker, the cinematographer, Tony Hardman, Matthew Hayman, and Thorsten Thilo, directed by Matthew Hayman. They just let the work and the guy speak for himself. And the other thing that really helps it is that I find that in this society of anti-heroes, your Elon Musks, your everybody's got an agenda, John seems to be, from all that I can see and is presented in this film at least, just a normal, humble dude who's trying to write some music. He doesn't seem to have an agenda other than trying to point out some imbalances in our justice, trying to be just a vessel of love, and he just speaks through music. And there are times, Keith, and not to get away from it, but you actually get good elements of him creating this symphony. And a symphony, and to really boil it down, is basically a few musical themes explored, right? And he does this in very abstract ways with multitude of musicians going from like Native American chanting to like dirty improv jazz, like crazy stuff. And you get to hear some of it, not all of it, some of it, but even some of the minute musical themes that he presents are so beautiful that I was literally weeping. I text you just because of the music. Forget the rest of the story, which is really powerful. I think it's really deftly handled how they present his personal life and his wife's struggles. No more intrusively than I think they felt comfortable with, but yet it doesn't feel like any veil was pulled or any BS was done. There's a couple shots here and there that seem a little set up, but that's who's to say, right? On the whole, just an extraordinarily powerful work. I just loved it. It's just the highest of recommends for me. American Symphony, Jon Batiste, Netflix. You already have it in your queue. Go watch it tonight. There you go.
I mean, sounds great. The creation of art, man. That's I mean, obviously, as someone who does that, it's pretty easy to get sucked into it.
Oh, so good, just so good. And there's not you don't hear any BS about this guy from other musicians. Questlove loves him. Everybody loves him. Everybody wants to work with him. It's going. If you haven't listened to his,
heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, his music. Check it out. Go on your music. Okay, Keith. Keith saw a movie that we already talked about. So let's.
I know. I mean, it's because like now it's a running gag. Oh, what the hell is this?
It's you eating popcorn, watching a movie when the pages have fallen off the calendar.
Amazing. Is my arm AI?
A bunch of that is AI.
Great. That's my new headshot. I mean, it's a running gag now that I don't watch anything contemporary. And Mike's like, oh, I saw these 17 things that came out in the last 30 seconds. And I'm like, I haven't seen anything since that came out after 1992.
No, well, there you have it.
Because that's not my jam.
Yeah, man.
But I finally, it also like, I don't want to pay. I'm already paying so much to the streamers. Like, I don't need to pay to watch a thing. So I waited for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny to show up on Disney Plus.
Oh, Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, which I like Disney Plus because all of their stuff is in good 4K HDR. One of my biggest nits to pick on like Paramount Plus and some of the others is that you have to like upgrade to get the 4K or whatever. So like, oh, we've got Gladiator. No, you don't.
Oh, it makes me so mad, dude.
It's barely like 480p.
So
Like,
mad.
You don't have this movie. I'm not going to watch a movie like that. Makes me crazy. Anyway, because I'm not going to subscribe to yet another 15 things. But here it is, Disney Plus, the last Indiana Jones movie. And I forget what you felt about it, but I was like,
I thought it was, yeah, man. Okay.
Yeah. I and that was sort of my feeling about it too, because I of course enjoy the Indiana Jones movies and like I've watched them for my whole life. I thought the fourth one was not particularly strong.
I didn't have the hate for it that everyone else did, but it wasn't great.
I thought the first time I saw it, second time I saw it, I was like, okay, I see the benefits here. This one felt much more in keeping with the first three. The fourth one felt like a big departure from where it had gone. This felt much more tied to the first three, and I really appreciated that. Brought back a lot of the legacy characters. The tone of it was a little bit closer to
the action felt in that universe.
Yeah, I mean the fourth one just became this digital abomination,
You
and
were really crazy or interested when you were asking me what I thought of the de-aging and that the
Mhm.
tech and the AI stuff. What was your feeling?
I thought it was okay. It's certainly better than it has been. I think they were really smart. They didn't they underlit most of its use,
Mhm.
and I think that did help. We're getting pretty close. We're not there yet. It's still not quite there yet, but it is the best I have seen. And so I appreciate it. I thought it was fun. I really liked being able to start with a
Yeah, without that
flashback to
kind of
the.
first set piece, the movie doesn't really have a lot to stand on.
Yeah, it's sort of like a beginning and an ending, right? The opening set piece was really fun. The finale definitely like took a big leap. But I remember feeling this way about the fourth one when we did Aliens, right? I was like, Aliens, that's ridiculous. This is like a thing that takes place in the real world. And then I really think through all the things that happen. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It never has. Like you've got the Ark of the Covenant, and
Well,
you've
and they
got
do the
people
time.
pulling out beating hearts, and
Maybe we've just Deep Space Nining so long now, but they do enough technobabble to like make it seem that there's a universe for it to exist in. So I'm like, okay, I'm in.
yeah. I think that the promise of it was a little undelivered. Like, when I obviously Dial of Destiny, we're talking time travel, right? Great. And we're doing this de-aging stuff. I thought he was going to be capering back and forth through experiences in his life and all that kind of stuff. I thought that would have been a little bit more fun than what we got to. But it was fine. Like, so I think it was better than 4.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hate it. Harrison Ford is always great.
The last act of the relationship stuff, I thought there were some tender moments there. I thought that, I mean, I really do feel like the only saving grace of Crystal Skull was that they left him in a real nice place.
Right.
I mean, nowhere near Last Crusade, where he literally rides off into the sunset, where we should have just kept it. But I thought that this did some interesting things to like.
Yeah, I mean, Phoebe Waller-Bridges is always welcome.
Always great, yeah.
It was great. It was handled well. Like it was never played like that was a romantic thing, like it would have been in the '90s, even though he's like 50 years older than she is.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed it. It's definitely is it Raiders? No.
Well, I'll put it this way: I had a really fun time in the theater, and then this summer, my nephews wanted to watch it up at the cabin, so we put it on, and I didn't watch it again.
Oh.
I went and did something.
I'll watch it again, but yeah, it was good. It felt it scratched some of the nostalgia that I was hoping that it would, that the fourth one didn't. So there it is.
Me and Keith felt the same. It was good. Definitely worth a watch for sure.
Worth a watch.
All right, so that brings me to my second thing I want to talk about all the boops and the boops. Netflix also has a brand new docu-series, 6 parts, an hour each, so you're looking at 6 hours, World War II, from the Frontlines, Keith. It's the thing you know I love. So let me bring you back into Mike's world. In school, history was a thing that I am a visual learner. And so reading the stuff, it doesn't really do it. Looking at the maps and the name, the postcards with the names and the dates, it doesn't really do it for me, right? And listen, History Channel, documentary movies, the World War II has been explored from every angle.
It's now an industrial complex.
I mean, there are video game genres, right? But years ago, I fell in love with a Peter Jackson joint called They Shall Not Grow Old, which was a documentary where he actually invented the technology that he then later used in the Beatles movie that kind of restored and upscaled all the stuff. And they did it to World War I footage, which took World War I footage, which is basically like disintegrated at this point, and colorized it, upscaled it, and put it in your face. And so it was able to bring a humanity to World War I that had not existed, right? To people who didn't go through it. Vietnam, we generally have pretty good audio and visual newsreels and such. World War II, sort of suffering, right? A lot of the stuff, the good footage, the harrowing footage is very low resolution, very tainted originals. The sound is messed up, blah, 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 yada, yada. Here they've gone in and they have taken basically Frontlines footage from newsreels, yes, but mostly from hand-captured recordings from everyone involved, Axis powers, the Allies, photographers, people in the crowds, POWs, name it. They've taken the footage, restored it, upscaled it, put a full-in 5.1 Dolby Atmos mix, put you there. They've restored interviews with people who were there. They've taken newsreels, restored the audio, and made it visceral. So it also walks you through a chronology that is very trackable. It's such a dense subject that obviously you can't cover it in 6 hours, but 6 hours is a good period of time where you can get the nutshell of it. You can actually, it's like the Holocaust, right? It's too enormous for our brains, our empathy, and our compassion to really contextualize. But but in putting it in a bottle, you're able to at least get it all, rather, right? So this is a really great way to walk through it. I don't think it is. Oh, John Boyega does the VO, which is excellent. And the one thing it added, the color it added for me that I never really felt in dealing with a lot of World War II stuff is fear, Keith, because it humanitizes it so much because it looks real. It looks at times like it's just a selfie, like a cell phone recording.
Feels much more contemporary.
So when you're like on Pearl Harbor and you know what's coming and they don't, and you're just like there's fear. When you're in Northern Africa and you know that the German army is coming and you're with the Brits and you know you're about to get wiped out, but they don't, there's fear. When you are looking at German citizens who are in the cult of personality of Hitler and you're at a rally and you're there because it's the footage brings you there, it is frightening. And that fear is something I have not felt with a lot of this type of documentary footage and stuff. So the way they've laid it out, what they bring to it, the audiovisual spectacle of it. If you have a good sound system, my neighbors must have thought all hell was breaking loose up here. It is just an extraordinary 6 hours of experience. It's harrowing at times. It is never. I don't think at any point does it feel like it takes what's the word I'm looking for? Where you sort of take advantage of sensationalizing, right? Yeah. Really great. High recommend. So 2 Netflix, I'm critical of them when they kind of phone in their documentary stuff, but here are 2 that are just knocks out of the park. So that's World War II from the front lines.
And evergreen in its relevance. I mean, as there are rallies happening right this very minute, quoting the rallies shown in those things, and we're like, haha, how funny, how ridiculous. Well, they're actually quoting the exact same phrases. So, pay attention, folks.
There's this story in the middle that will maybe stick with me forever of this, I believe he is British, this British soldier who was captured in northern Africa, right? When the Germans were kind of spreading down Africa. And Rommel, I think, was the name of the German commander who was in charge of the northern African peninsula. Anyway, there's this British soldier. They wiped out his entire regiment. They're all dead. They kept him alive to bring as a POW. And so he goes through a hellish transportation from northern Africa back to Germany to whatever camp they were bringing him to, whatever POW camp they were bringing him to. And where they just made all the prisoners they were traveling just stand up and basically piss and crap on themselves. Couldn't sit down, couldn't lay down, just like livestock. So after 2 weeks of travel, and then they walk them through the streets of Berlin or wherever they are in Germany, and the people who have, and because of the propaganda machine, they think these people are evil. So the citizens are beating the hell out of them as they're just trying to walk to the prison. And he goes, and all of a sudden this little girl runs up to me. And he put something in my hand, and he goes, I swore it was a grenade, and I thought she was just going to blow us all up. And then she ducks into the crowd, and he looks at his hand, and he says it was a peach. And he's like, I hid it in my shirt. And when we finally got to the cell, he's like, I ate this peach, and it's the greatest thing I ever thought. And he goes, but then I started to cry because I thought, amongst this hell and all of the hell I just went through and all these people who think we're evil and who are beating on us, He's like, there will always be a little girl with a peach.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I've took that with me the rest of my life, that hope. And I was like, in this 6-hour sort of bottle of just like hell, the hell of war, there's a girl with the peach. And that's something I'm taking with me.
Well, and it is, the connection and the relevance is always the humanity, right? The inhumanity that we're capable of in large groups, and the tremendous humanity we are capable of face to face. And I think that part of what Hitler's and all sort of authoritarians, like, their dehumanization of people as groups, that is so infectious. It is so powerful, and we fall for it over and over. It's part of human history, and we're seeing it now, the way we're talking about people at the border, the way we're talking about the poisoning of our blood. Whose quote is that?
I like that this also doesn't let Americans off the hook.
Fucking Hitler, guys.
Does not let Americans off the hook, because a big question you always ask when you see all the atrocities taking place is, why did America wait so long? Why did America wait so long? Why did America wait so long? And they cut back to a bunch of times man on the street interviews with Americans who just came through the Depression, or still going through it many times, and they're saying, we don't want to be involved. It's not our war. It's not our problem. It's not our thing, baby. It's not our bag, baby.
And why was that? One of the reasons that was such a strong viewpoint was the Nazis literally infiltrating our government to spread that ideology. Don't get us caught up in this. We don't want a part of this. Well, it was the literal Nazis controlling actual representatives in our country to spread that ideology. So, folks, pay attention.
Pay attention.
Look out, folks. Look out.
Like I say to my wife all the time, man, because I want her to watch this, and she'll say it's too much, it's too hard to watch. I'm like, you have to watch it. We cannot close our eyes. We cannot close our eyes. Keith, Weekly Rad, talk to me.
Weekly Rad, yeah. Well, my Weekly Rad is all of the things that I'm stressed out about, and the big long list of stuff that I have to get done. I'm also really excited to to see my folks and to spend some time up in the wild and woolly hinterlands of Vermont, and all of my extended families and my and I'm happy to see everybody. It is a stressful, scary time, but it is also a nice time. I'm really excited to see the people in my life face to face.
Yeah, I think every year you grow a little older, you grow a little wiser, hopefully a little more mature, and you can bring a different type of energy and empathy to back home. Because it's some years it don't go great.
Nope, and it sure as heck doesn't.
There's always hope for this one. I'm gonna go a different direction. I'll get sappy at the end, but I'll say, once again, I'm going on this cruise to perform, and over the past couple years, in fact, a handful of years, in fact, I've been just having trouble with my voice. From a variety of reasons. Growing up when I was in your 20s, you can roll out of bed and sing for hours and hours and hours and just wail and wail and wail and have no ill will. And then it's just not the way when you're older, for me at least. And I thought for a while I actually did some damage to my voice. And I went to the ENTs and the such, and everything's good and looks good, no medical blah, blah, blah. And you would think that's good news, and it is in many ways, but at the same time, to not know why you can't do certain things you used to be able to do is frustrating. Especially if you hope, they'll say it's this, we can do this to help it, fix it.
Right.
Or you can't, and it just is what it is. Anyway, that all said, it's really bothered me. However, I have a friend, Jen, in fact, swears by this person, and, everybody I also heard of many of these warm-ups, SOVT warm-ups, basically doing a lot of warm-ups and vocalizing and exercises and workouts with a straw. Right, with a straw in some water to create back pressure.
Sure.
Never put much stock into it. Right, it's basically the same as lip trills and doing stuff. Anyway, I looked into the science of it recently, about a month ago, and it actually makes a lot of sense. To really boilerplate it. When you oversing, which I tend to do when you have to wail some of this really high stuff, there is. Especially if you do it while you're sick or under stress, which I was doing, I can point to some very specific times when I was doing this. You can actually throw off the balance of your vocal folds. Your vocal folds are supposed to basically vibrate very evenly, right? But you can blow it out to the point where they vibrate differently. and there's all kinds of trauma and stress and imbalance.
Yeah.
And once you do that, once you knock them out of alignment, they're sort of out of alignment. And so there can be parts of your voice that will not be connected. Your vocal folds won't be. Anyway, it made a lot of sense to me. I was like, okay, so how does a straw fix that? Well, what a straw does is forces. So when we sing, right, it's all outward pressure, right? But if you use a straw, a much smaller opening, it forces back pressure. And so now you have an even amount of pressure on the folds, which forces them back into alignment.
Interesting.
So the science seemed to work out for me. So anyway, for the past month, I've been using these straw techniques, and I found some great YouTubers who have really laid it out, these like really pedagogical workouts. And Keith, I have to say, I've been a singer my whole life, right? In a month's time, I have not, I don't want to say fixed, but I have radically recentered my voice.
Really?
From talking all the time, from oversinging, like some of the notes that I thought I had lost are coming back. I'm finding much more focus, a lot less pressure, a lot less forcing, a lot less straining. It's working, and it's because I just have committed to it a little bit. And so I guess my weekly rad is, even if it's something you think you are a professional at or are a professional at, you can still learn, you can still grow, and we ain't old yet, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It ain't over yet.
And also I think it is it's the idea, like, do the work.
Yeah.
And you have no idea how effective you can be if you just do the work consistently.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Boy, can you make some changes.
So one thing we hope never changes, and to be serious, at the end of the year, we always thank our small little community. There are more of you than there were the beginning of the year, and that is growth. And every chance we get to hang out, it's awesome. I don't think I'm going to get to do the live stream with the folks today. I just don't think my schedule is going to permit it, which sucks, but we'll get back into it when we get back from the new year. So anyway, I'm not going to read your names this week because we've been going long already, but know that we appreciate you. You can join the team at patreon.com/KNM, get all kinds of fun stuff, and you can get in for the low price of $1. We wish all of you, I hope you get a little break, whether you celebrate anything. Hope maybe you get some time off of work over the next few weeks, and rest, relax, check out some content. And if you're watching anything cool, or you've seen anything cool, you're playing a cool game or whatnot, let us know in the comments. We'll be curious to know what you think.
Yes, indeed. Thank you all for watching. Yeah.
All right. I guess that's going to take us out for the year, Keith.
You think?
I think so.
Yeah, I guess it will. Boy, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah. All right, folks.
And merry whatever you celebrate, or don't.
Until we see you in 2024, keep on doing the things you find fun. Don't let anyone yuck your yum. And keep on geeking on.